Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and something popped in my head while I was reading this. I heard someone say once that you can always tell the best years of a guy's life based on his clothing choices. Hi, Butters. You can come in right now because I haven't gotten into the book yet. You see, the theory is that the best years of a guy's life, his favorite years, that is the clothing style he'll stick with for the rest of his life. I'm not sure how true that is, but I think there is a little kernel of truth in that. Um, because I was thinking about this while I was reading this book. I started reading comics, as a kid in the 70s and in the 80s. That was pretty much a heyday. Excuse me, why Pet Butters? Give her a little bit of ear scritches. Yeah, she likes that. Um, and so, I have a certain fondness for that. And, modern day comics being what they are, if they were a little bit better written, it wouldn't be so much of a problem. But when you read this issue, it really does come as such a throwback. Okay, now you're just really kind of crushing it. Okay, so this is definitely a throwback to the way comics were in the mid 80s. About when Peter David was writing Spectacular Spider Man. And yeah, Butters really wants some lovin's right now. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to go into this issue because even right from the first page, we have the title page, but instead of having that silly, what they do with most comics where they have some little um, not even description, you know, um, just kind of a little bit, catching up, which a lot of times I skip that. They used to do that so organically. Or maybe, like the Legion of Superheroes would have the floating head so you see all the characters who's in the book, their names, so you can identify them. No, Peter David does something kind of clever with this. It's a Daily Bugle headline, talks about how Spider-Man, typical Daily Bugle spinning things. When Spider-Man saved the Scream painting, they turned it. Spider-Man, after stealing the painting the Scream, turned on his partner, the Human Fly, and decided to return the painting to its rightful owners. Okay, yeah, it's he actually saved it from the Human Fly, and that's of course how they spin it. And they mentioned, Mysterio. The villain Mysterio is wanted for questioning after the death of a bank teller during a botched robbery. Okay, it's a nice summary. It's similar to what they do now, but hey, this is clever. And also the little things inside. Interview with She-Hulk, the new member of the Fantastic Four. Avengers split into the West Coast. So yeah, it gives you a time period. It's kind of clever. Um, so we go into the issue. It is Mysterio narrating about Spider-Man and basically how much he hates him and even the little petty stuff. Plus, he has that hot girlfriend, the Black Cat. What could she possibly see in him? I should be the premier villain in the city, in the world. Instead, time after time, that cursed web slinger has defeated me. Many consider me a joke, but what's I say? Oh, but that's going to change, thanks to my new potential ally. Okay, so who is this ally? Well, we cut to the filming. Sorry, got Butter's whiskers here. She's right off camera. See, she's going to watch. See, it's a good sign. She's not attacking the book. So, I mean, that should be right there. A sign. That should be the rating system. How much my cat attacks the book. If she does not attack the book, it's Butters approved. So anyway, we go to the filming of a movie, and we see that the actor's getting punched because what it is, it's a stuntman who didn't pull his punch and broke the lead actor's nose. He ends up getting fired because it's going to set the movie back for weeks. And even some of the lines. Not my fault he can't take a punch. You weren't supposed to punch him. Near misses. Always near misses. It was a nearly missed. I nearly missed him. Can't help it that I hit him. Uh-huh. Anyway, So, the actor asks, how do I look? You look great, honey. You know, Greg Land. He could be a good artist when he's not tracing porn. But God, whenever I see him drawing female faces, like this, I wonder what porn scene did he trace? That might be a wrong hole incident, I'm guessing. Working a little blue late night here, so. Anyway, the stuntman, Alan, he gets fired. And he goes into his trailer and finds Mysterio waiting for him. And of course, he doesn't even take Mysterio seriously. Just that pause. Like, Rey Mysterio? Who? The Mexican wrestler. Well, wrestlers, father and son. No, I'm not a Mexican wrestler. Because it sure looks like a wrestling outfit. And so he tries to do his illusions, and, even this Allen guy says that, yeah, nice holograms. You can't fool somebody in showbiz with that stuff, pal. So Mysterio is hiring this guy to take down Spider-Man because somehow Mysterio found out that this guy is a mutant. And, he can't be hurt. He's super tough. Yeah, where does they say that at? Yeah, here it is. And your speed, your strength, they're superhuman. I don't know about that. Oh, I do. You're a mutant, Alan. No way, most definitely. I'm not some freak. No, you're not. But this is. So he's hiring Alan to take down Spider-Man. And so yeah, we cut to Spider-Man swinging around the city. It's a pretty quiet night. One thing I like about this book, and it's a personal preference. Early on when we see Mysterio talking, he's actually narrating. You know, it's the captions, which is fine because Mysterio is not in this panel. It's a panel of Spider-Man. But at first, it almost seems like it's Spider-Man thinking because we've gotten so used to, not using thought bubbles. Just putting the character's thoughts in captions. And it even has the editor note. I love that. You know, this feels like old books. So Butters is chewing on my splint again. So the thought bubbles. Back to that. I love that. That's so classic. And I know some people say, "Oh, it's just so stupid," thought bubbles, ha ha. It's a comic book. How is that any different from speech bubbles? You know, I guess you'd say word balloons. Um, it's a comic book. There are some conventions that have to go along with it, and it doesn't make it any worse or any better. I happen to like seeing the thought bubbles instead of captions. Personal preference, but I'd love seeing that. So Spider-Man starts seeing Mysterio, but they're holograms. He's leading Spider-Man on a chase, and as Spider-Man gets close, and all this time Spider-Man is wanting to apologize because in the first issue, when he recognized him out of costume, when Mysterio was at that grave, he started a fight, and he feels kind of bad about that because when Mysterio claimed that the bank teller who was shot was his sister, Spider-Man believed him. So Spider-Man's feeling kind of bad. He doesn't, you know, really want to fight him, but of course it's Mysterio. He knows he's up to something. And, he even says, you know, look, Misty, can we have a truce for just the 5 minutes? Just to, of course, in that he's launching into this fist pulled back. And that's when the fist comes out of Butters now wants to play. Um, Comes out of the illusion and nails Spider-Man. So Alan is now Mysterio's choice is calling himself Hard Rock, and Butters is locked onto my hand and won't let it go. There we go. Um, so yeah, we get a fight, and Spider-Man says that punching him is like punching Colossus, and he basically Spider-Man's getting his butt whooped by this guy, and even Spider-Man's sitting there thinking, I've taken down all these villains. This no-name guy who was created for this issue, um, I've never heard of him before. He's like, I'm not going to be taken down by him. Mysterio has even set it up so that his costume, the webbing can't stick to it. And so yeah, he knocks Spider-Man unconscious. And he's going to kill him. In fact, I gotta stop. In fact, I'm going to stop right here. Because it's really good what happens. Um, Maybe not so good for Hard Rock, but Spider-Man is unconscious. And remember, this is all about the symbiote Spider-Man. And when Peter's unconscious, the costume is not. So the costume takes action against Hard Rock. And Mysterio is watching all this on cameras, and it doesn't go well for any of them. Well, psychological problems for Mysterio a little bit more. I don't want to give it away. It's good. It's really, really good. Now, the thing about this is it takes place in a period when the writers and the creators didn't really know what they were going to do with the alien costume. It was, the alien costume, it could mimic other things, create its own webbing. Um, and then they started, putting little hints, um, that it wasn't all that it seemed to be. You know, um, you would see it moving on its own. When Peter would go to sleep, the costume would, uh, engulf him, envelop him, and take him web swinging around the city while Peter was asleep. So he'd wake up exhausted after a full night's sleep and not understand why. So that's when he found out it was, alive, and it wasn't quite so evil, I guess you could say. Um, it's been retconned a little bit that, you know, it was like a jilted lover. It felt hurt when he, stopped the bonding process and had the Fantastic Four help him. And when he had it caged up, that's when it got angry. And then when it joined with Brock, who also hated Peter Parker and Spider, it's kind of going back. But the point I was getting to is that, at this period, we didn't really see how, pardon the pun, dark the costume was. How it was capable of, basically evil. The things that you see Venom be capable of. Um, yeah, we didn't really see that back then because the writers didn't really have it all established at that point. In fact, when it was originally um, pitched, um, Venom was supposed to be a woman. There was a scene where I think it was in one of the Web of Spider-Man comics where he's standing on the train platform. You see a hand push him into the tracks, and he's able to get out of the way because, of course, he's Spider-Man. Um, but it didn't set off his spider sense because that person had already been, bonded, which was later revealed to be Eddie Brock. But at the time, they were actually pushing for it to be a woman. So, how different would that have been? How cool would that have been? But anyway, back to this issue. It's a great insight, an untold tale where we get to see, what was going on, now that we know more about the symbiotes and um, basically how they're not really good creatures. And yeah, it's it's good, and I guess it ties in well. You got Mysterio; he's coming up in the new movie. I've always had a soft spot for Mysterio. Maybe it's a fishbowl. I don't know. But this is a fun issue. Fun. It's an enjoyable issue. Um, and Peter David and Greg Land. Greg Land's are perfectly fine. It's really easy to tease him about the porn, and other than that one panel, yeah, it's good. This issue is enjoyable. I mean, even this cover kind of reminds me of an '80s style cover. It's got the menacing Spider-Man with the claw thing going on. Um, yeah, all in all, I love this book. I'm really enjoying this book. And yeah, I'm going full 12. It's interesting. We get to see other characters are coming in that I don't want to give away the ending, but you're starting to feel kind of bad for Mysterio because he's getting in so over his head right now. And he's writing checks that his ass can't cash, and it's enjoyable. It's fun. I'm loving this book. Get this book. Like I said, full 12 o'clock. It's so nice to read something that comes out of Marvel that's not preachy. It's not talking down to you. It's like, hey, here's a story. It's cool. Follow it. It's nice. It's not condescending. It's like Oh, I missed Peter David. I really did. So anyway, man, I can't believe I went on this long. Anyway, it's 15 minutes in. I think I'm going to cut it off here. So as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.